Welcome back, climbers. Bartlett Arborist Supply YouTube channel here. Make sure you're hitting that like button, and if you haven't subscribed already and you love this content that we're trying to put out towards you, make sure you subscribe for us, please. Today we've got a base anchor checklist. I know a lot of you are pushing into SRS since it seems to be such a feasible way of accessing the canopy. There's a lot of unsafe and improper practices going on, so we're just going to keep this not terribly nerdy, but I am going to dabble a little bit into load forces, compression, tension, flex, maybe some numbers. Basically, we want to make sure that all of you are being safe so that way you can enjoy the job that you love so much. So, back to it, base anchors. First off and foremost, when you're tying a base anchor, it is extremely proper to make sure that you load your rope correctly on the bottom. Now, there's a lot of mechanicals or hardware pieces that you can use in order to secure your rope that makes it either rescuable, easy to set up, fast to tie, whatever the case may be. Most individuals are just going to be rolling with a half hitch into a running bowline with the Yosemite tie-off, which is what we'll stick here with today. So to start everything off, you can see that I have my climb side here, and then this is my anchor side here. Now, as it passes through the canopy up there, the rope, it's through a big main section on both sides where it splits and Ys. So improperly loading one side or the other really isn't a factor here. However, both ropes seem to be on this side. So, since the majority of us are right-hand dominant, it's almost customary that we throw the rope around to the right side with our half hitch, and then again for that running bowline. But what I want you to pay attention to is when I throw the rope from right to left, what I'm not doing is loading a bite into itself. I'm opening this up, which is going to allow it to scoot and rotate around the tree. So I actually want to go left to right and not tie my leg into it like I just did. So now, when I tighten all this up, this rope is going to bite into itself, which is what we want. We always want to make sure that it's almost like rigging. If you tie a bowline around something and you have that large gap and it's not cinched down and biting into that running bowline during a rigging process, there's always that possibility that it'll open up and lose. So we want to make sure that we're rotating the rope around the proper direction first. I'm going to go the exact same way and then tie my bowline with the Yosemite tie-off here. So here's our bowline. I'm going to give myself plenty of tail to work with here. Finish off that trace. Load my Yosemite bowline here. Now this thing's giant, but it doesn't matter because we're not actually climbing on this. Now, rotating this around basically to the back side of the tree, or 180 degrees from where our initial point of going up the tree is kind of what I'm looking for here. So I can then tighten this one down and then tighten this one up. And what we have here with this Z pattern is if we unload, so while I'm loaded during a climb, everything's nice and tight. If I happen to unload, if you notice, only the half hitch moves. This is staying nice and tight. So there's no chance, depending on if the tree does not have a rough textured bark or sandpaper like this one does, it's not going to scoot up the tree because we've rotated one almost 180 degrees into a bite, And then before it goes up into the canopy, we're making sure that this one also is hardened to a bite before the rope goes up and loads. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about compression versus flex with base anchors. So stick with me for just a second. Thanks for sticking with me. And if you are liking this content and want more of it, there's like 600 videos on our Bartlett YouTube channel. Make sure you like and subscribe for us, please. So continuing on, the second thing in our checklist here, we just discussed this Z pattern, making sure everything's rolled into the bite. I want to talk to you about compression versus flex. So squeezing this together this way as opposed to making it flex over. We know we're all arborists, we're all tree workers. We know that limbs, once they get a little weight on them, they can fracture, they can snap, they can break. I mean, that's just what they do. That is the nature of the vascular system here. The other way to think about it is a straw, something that you'd be drinking right out of your cup. A straw has strength when you push on it this direction, but if you bend the straw like this, it just folds in half. So thinking about the vascular system of a tree, it's like millions of little straws all packed underneath this bark layer here. And it's strong when you compress it. So if we set up a base anchor in this manner, where we have our line coming down to our termination point, and this is what we're climbing on, we are physically compressing the tree, and there's little chance for failure. Now, I'm not saying that there is no chance, which is why it's always imperative that when you set your climb line and you get it where you want it, generally, the rule is 2 people, right? So you, the other guy you're with, working with, one other guy, and you and him both pull and hold. So he's down here on the rope, you're here on the rope, pull and hold, sink right into it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Look, listen, see what it's doing. If that tree is flexing a whole lot, then maybe we need to change a few things. We might need to take some wraps around it on the way down before it terminates. Think about a fishing pole. A fishing pole can snap if you just grab both ends and pull them together. But because it runs through those series of rings, it's strong because it's pulling along the entire axis of it. So you can manipulate that in some cases, but we'll get into that in a different video. However, with this loaded in this manner, you can deviate side to side, front to back, and everything just continues to compress into that vascular system, and that is safe, right? That's the best case scenario for base anchors. We know there's plenty of statistical data that if I am 200 pounds with all of my gear on and I'm ascending this rope, right? Boom, every time I take a step and I'm walking up, I could easily generate 220, 230, 250 pounds as I'm walking up and bouncing, okay? That also means that this side of the rope has to hold equal amounts of weight. So if I'm very aggressive in my climbing, then that means 250 pounds needs to be held here to hold 250 pounds here, which means our main high center is seeing 500 pounds. It always doubles with base anchors. Canopy anchors stay 1-to-1. So how much ever force you are putting on the rope, your body weight plus dynamics, is what that canopy anchor will see up top, which is generally why they are used for more meticulous climbs or climbs that you need to have that ability to have finesse. So base anchors are really excellent for speed of setup, redirects. There is a multitude of redirects out there, which, by the way, stick around, keep your eyes on that playlist. We're gonna drop a redirect masterclass here sometime soon. I'm sure Abden's giddy to get you all dialed in with your redirects. But back to this. This is what you want on your base anchor checklist: compression. Now, let me talk to you about flex as opposed to compression. All right, so flex versus compression. Now, obviously, this is all scaled down so that way you can see the effects all in one shot, right? I would never, or nor have I ever seen someone set up a base anchor with this type of angle. It's completely ridiculous. However, I have seen redirects that are fairly extreme like this, that physically cause flex when the rope is loaded. And this is why compression versus flex is way bad. It could be bad for everybody. You might not make it home that night. We just want to keep everybody safe. So when I'm loading this rope, you can obviously see that this flexes, and it doesn't matter what way I go. I can go any direction with this, and this is going to bend and twist, and it causes this whole section to bow and flex in. And this is where your failures come from. And now, the main thing we're looking at here, again, is we're back to that 500-pound number. In a redirect, a natural redirect, if you were climbing, I've seen individuals draw the line straight across between two unions in this kind of a manner here, and it's causing these two to bow in and flex as this does. And there is so much potential for failure there. So you really need to be wise at how you're setting up your redirects or how you're setting up your base anchors. You don't want to be way off on some section out at the very end. You got to think rigging, right? Rigging, you wouldn't do that in a rigging scenario. Is this little baby branch way out here going to hold the massive amount of weight that I'm about to throw into it? No, we got to think the exact same way when it comes to this. So here at Bartlett, you know, there's plenty of tricks to stop this type of flex in redirects or setting up your base anchors that we have either via mechanicals or redirects that stop that type of dynamic movement. However, you can check those out on the other videos, but we just want to highlight how nasty this could be. And this is, again, an extreme case scenario. So with all of that being said, as you're running over your base anchor checklist, make sure you're choosing adequate ropes, adequate gear, adequate unions that are going to support your weight. And you got to think that if we're doing base anchors, we're always thinking double. Your weight plus the same amount to hold everything. Is that going to be enough? Hopefully it is. Now we'll touch base on a little bit more extreme type anchors and redirects in some other videos, so please stick around for that. Make sure you're dropping in at bartlettman.com, checking out all the gear. There's always sales going on. You can get all of your SRS gear plus the ropes that you're seeing in these videos, and I hope this was educational for you. Keep it safe out there, climbers. We love having you here. Thanks again.